Hello, reading room. I thought I would get right back on because I want to take a break later and I don't want to be interrupted in my break time any longer. So let's go ahead and get started with our reading. And we are on a new chapter here, right? So we are here. This is the classroom. We are here on day 165. It is October 29th, a couple days before Halloween. And by that time, we will be starting a new book likely. We'll see. Chapter 15, the role of religion in modern society. Remember once again that they were taking a look at media, education, the natural world, politics. I'm probably missing one, but you'll have to look back, especially if you're really interested. If you're really interested, you probably already have been following us, as in me. It is a sad fact that human history, that religion has been a major source of conflict. Even today, individuals are killed, communities destroyed, and societies de-established as a result of religious bigotry and hatred. It is no wonder that many question the place of religion in human society. Yet when we think carefully, we find that conflict in the name of religion arises from two principal sources. There is that which arises simply as a result of religious diversity, the doctrinal, cultural, and practical differences between one religion and another. Then there is the conflict that arises in the context of political, economic, and other factors, mainly at the institutional level. Interreligious harmony is the key to overcoming conflict of the first sort. In the case of the second, some other solution must be found. Secularization, and in particular, the separation of the religious hierarchy from the institutions of the state, may go some way to reducing such institutional problems. Our concern in this chapter is with interreligious harmony, however. This is an important aspect of what I have called universal responsibility. But before examining the matter in detail, it is perhaps worth considering the question of whether religion is really relevant in the modern world. Many people argue that it is not. Now, I have observed that religious belief is not a precondition either of ethical conduct or of happiness itself. I have also suggested that whether a person practices religion or not, the spiritual qualities of love and compassion, patience, tolerance, forgiveness, humility, and so on are indispensable. At the same time, I should make it clear that I believe that these are the most easily and effectively developed within the context of religious practice. I also believe that when an individual sincerely practices religion, that individual will benefit enormously. People who have developed a firm faith, grounded in understanding and rooted in daily practice, are in general much better at coping with adversity than those who have not. I am convinced, therefore, that religion has enormous potential to benefit humanity. Properly employed, it is an extremely effective instrument for establishing human happiness. In particular, it can play a leading role in encouraging people much in common with him. No doubt we would find that he too was concerned for his family and loved ones, for his health, and so on. Differences of culture and expression notwithstanding, we would still be able to identify with one another on the level of feeding, and there could be no reason to suppose any less concern with finding happiness and avoiding suffering on his part than on ours. If religion, with its emphasis on overcoming suffering through the practice of ethical discipline and cultivation of love and compassion, can be conceived of as relevant in his time, it is hard to see why it should not be equally so today. Granted that in the past the value of religion may have been more obvious in that human suffering was more explicit due to the lack of modern facilities, but because we humans still suffer, albeit today this is experienced more internally as mental and emotional affliction, and because religion, in addition to its salvific truth claims, is concerned to help us overcome suffering, surely it must still be relevant. How then might we bring about the harmony that is necessary to overcome interreligious conflict? As in the case of individuals engaged in the discipline of restraining their response to negative thoughts and emotions and cultivating spiritual qualities, the key lies in developing understanding. We must first identify the factors that obstruct it. Then we must find ways to overcome them. Perhaps the most significant obstruction to interreligious harmony is lack of appreciation of the value of others' faith traditions. Until comparatively recently, communication between different cultures, even different communities, was slow or non existent. For this reason, sympathy for other faith traditions was not necessarily very important, except, of course, where members of different religions lived side by side. But this attitude is no longer viable. In today's increasingly complex and interdependent world, we are compelled to acknowledge the existence of other cultures, different ethnic groups, and, of course, other religious faiths. Whether we like it or not, most of us now experience this diversity on a daily basis. I believe that the best way to overcome ignorance and bring about understanding is through dialogue with members of other faith traditions. This I see occurring in a number of different ways. Discussions among scholars in which the convergence and perhaps more importantly the divergence between different faith traditions are explored and appreciated are very valuable. On another level, it is helpful when there are encounters between ordinary but practicing followers of different religions in which each shares their experiences. This is perhaps the most effective way of appreciating others teachings. In my own case, for example, my meetings with the late Thomas Merton, a Catholic monk of the Cistercian order, were deeply inspiring. They helped me develop a profound. Okay, that was a long pause. I gotta make sure that the data is not circulating, but it should be okay. We got 0 drop frames. Okay. Finally, I feel that the practice of members of different faith traditions going on joint pilgrimages together can be very helpful. It was in this spirit that in 1993 I went to Lourdes and then to Jerusalem, a site holy to 3 of the world's great religions. I have also paid visits to various Hindu, Islamic, Jain, and Sikh shrines both in India and abroad. Most recently, following a seminar devoted to discussing and practicing meditation in the Christian and Buddhist traditions, I joined an historic pilgrimage of practitioners of both traditions in a program of prayer, meditation, and dialogue under the Bodhi tree at Bodh Gaya in India. This is one of Buddhism's most important shrines. When exchanges like these occur, followers of one tradition will find that, just as in the case of their own, the teachings of, how could you find out, you Western whatever, what the Andrew Jackson specifically, what the Indians were doing when you were so drunk all the time? When exchanges like these occur, followers of one tradition will find that, just in the case of their own, the teachings of other faiths are a source of both spiritual inspiration and of ethical guidance to their followers. It will also become clear, so ethical guidance, universal. It will also become clear that irrespective of doctrinal and other differences, all the major world religions are concerned with helping individuals to become good human beings. All emphasize love and compassion, patience, tolerance, forgiveness, humility, and so on, and all are capable of helping individuals to develop these. Moreover, the example given by the founders of each major religion clearly demonstrates a concern for helping others find happiness through developing these qualities. So far as their own lives were concerned, each conducted themselves with great simplicity. Ethical discipline and love for all others was the hallmark of their lives. They did not live luxuriously like emperors and kings. Instead, they voluntarily accepted suffering without consideration of the hardships involved in order to benefit humanity as a whole. In their teachings, all placed special emphasis on developing love and compassion and renouncing selfish desires, and each of them called on us to transform our hearts and minds. Indeed, whether we have faith or not, all are worthy of our profound admiration. At the same time as engaging in dialogue with followers of other religions, we must, of course, implement in our daily life the teachings of our own religion. Once we have experienced the benefit of love and compassion and of ethical discipline, we will easily recognize the value of others' teachings. But for this, it is essential to realize that religious practice entails a lot more than merely saying, I believe, or as in Buddhism, I take refuge. There is also more to it than just visiting temples or shrines or churches. And taking religious teachings is of little benefit if they do not enter the heart but remain at the level of intellect alone. Simply relying on faith without understanding and without implementation is of limited value. I often tell Tibetans that carrying a mala, something like a rosary, does not make a person a genuine religious practitioner. The efforts we make sincerely to transform ourselves spiritually are what make us genuine religious practitioners. Okay, I think, that's only been 13 minutes. So what? This is Dr. Annette Feravich. We've been here in the reading room. We got started late. We went late. We didn't go long in this class. We went long in other classes. It's all up in the air. It's the classroom showing a little ADHD. I think we're okay with that. Thanks for joining me here on day 165. We'll be back tomorrow on October 30th, day 166 of the classroom. Again, thanks for joining me.